Here is a strange fact about lavender that explains almost every dead one you have ever seen. Lavender does not die in summer. It dies in winter. And it does not die of the cold. Think about your own dead lavenders, or the ones you have seen in other people's gardens. They looked fine in August. Then, somewhere over the winter, or right at the start of spring, they turned gray and brittle and never woke up. Everyone assumes the cold got them. It almost never did. What killed them was wet feet in cold soil. Lavender is a Mediterranean plant built for dry, gritty, sun-baked hillsides, and its roots cannot sit in cold, wet ground. When they do, water molds move in, the roots rot, and the plant dies from the bottom up over the winter while you are not looking. The growers are blunt about it. If your soil holds water in winter, no amount of cold hardiness saves the plant. Drainage decides survival, not temperature. And here is why that makes August the month that matters. Winter is when lavender dies, but August is when you decide whether it survives. Everything that gets a plant through the cold, the last cut, the drainage, hardening it off, the right mulch at the right time, is set up now, in late summer and early fall. Miss the window, and there is nothing you can do in December except watch. So this video is the 5 things to do to your lavender in August, so it is still alive next spring. And I am going to be honest with you about the 5th one, because it is the one nobody wants to say out loud. 2 of the 4 types of lavender will not survive a hard winter in the ground no matter what you do, and if you own one of them, the kindest thing is to stop pretending otherwise and do the one thing that actually works. But the first 4 are about giving a hardy lavender every possible chance. And they start with the cut, because getting that wrong in August is one of the fastest ways to lose the plant to the very cold everyone is so worried about. But first, understand what actually kills this plant. Because once you do, all 5 of these are obvious. Here is the idea that makes all 5 of these obvious. And it is worth 30 seconds because it flips how you think about the whole season. You do not garden for winter in winter. You garden for winter in August. By the time the cold actually arrives, everything that determines whether your lavender lives has already been decided. The drainage is whatever it is. The plant is either hardened off or it is soft. The mulch is either right or it is rotting the crown. There is nothing left to do in December, but wait and see what you set up in late summer. So the work of keeping lavender alive through winter is not winter work at all. It is now. And hold on to the one fact that ties every step together, because I am going to keep coming back to it. Lavender does not die of cold. It dies of moisture. Wet roots, damp crowns, and stagnant trapped air are what actually kill this plant over winter, and cold is only dangerous because it comes packaged with all 3. Every single one of these 5 steps is really the same instruction wearing different clothes. Keep this plant dry, open, and hardened off going into the cold. Get that one idea, and you do not really need to memorize 5 things. You need to keep a Mediterranean plant. Mediterranean through a season it was never built for. And do me a favor. Drop a comment with your growing zone and which lavender you have, and I will help with the tricky ones. Now, the first step. The cut. Number 1. Make your last cut of the year now and make it light. Because a hard cut in late summer is one of the fastest ways to lose lavender to winter. Here is why the timing is so dangerous, and it is the same trap that catches people every year. When you cut lavender, the plant responds by pushing out soft, tender new growth. That growth needs weeks of decent weather to mature and harden before it can survive a freeze. Cut too late in the season, and you have forced the plant to produce its most frost-vulnerable tissue at the exact moment the frost is arriving. The cold kills that new growth, and the damage runs back down into stems that were healthy before you touched them. So this is not a hard, shaping chop. Your big structural cut belongs earlier in summer, right after flowering. This late one is lighter, and it is governed by a deadline. The deadline is a subtraction, not a date on the calendar. Find your average first frost date and count back 6 weeks. That is your cutoff. After that, the shears stay in the shed until spring because there is no longer enough growing weather for new growth to harden off. For a lot of gardens with a mid-October frost, that puts your last safe cut right about now, at the start of September, so August is your window. And there is one rule that overrides everything else, in any month. Cut into the green, never the brown. Lavender does not reliably re-sprout from bare, woody stems, so if you cut a stem down below all its green growth, that stem is dead permanently. Leave green leaves on every stem you touch. Take off the spent flower stalks and lightly shape the green, and stop there. If your arithmetic says the window has already closed where you live, then do not cut at all. Take the dead flower stalks off if you like, and leave the rest for spring. A slightly untidy lavender survives the winter. A late-cut one might not. A late hard cut does not tidy your lavender. It hands the frost something soft to kill. Number 2. Fix the drainage now, before winter, because this is the thing that actually kills lavender. Everything else in this video matters, but this is the one. Remember the fact from the top. Lavender's #1 winter killer is not cold. It is wet roots in cold soil. Oregon State University identifies the actual culprits, water molds and fungi, with names like Phytophthora, Fusarium, and Pythium, and every one of them thrives in the same conditions, cold and wet and badly drained. The growers put it as plainly as it can be put. If your soil holds water through the winter, no variety of lavender is hardy enough to save. Drainage decides survival. Not the cold hardiness rating on the label, not the mulch, not the variety. Drainage. And here is why this rots plants so quietly. It does not happen overnight. The roots sit in that cold, wet ground and decline over 1 or 2 whole seasons, and by the time the plant visibly wilts or turns gray, the crown is already gone. So the plant that dies next spring was very often being killed slowly, starting the winter before, in soil that held too much water. Which is exactly why you fix it now, going into winter, and not next year when you finally notice. So, going into the cold, here is what to actually do. If your lavender is already in fast-draining ground or on a slope or a raised bed, you are in good shape, and your main job is the mulch step coming up. If it is sitting in heavy or slow soil, this is the moment to improve it. Work coarse grit, horticultural sand, or fine gravel into the soil around the plant to open it up. Better still, and this is the single most effective fix there is, raise the plant. A raised bed or even a simple mound of gritty soil lifts those roots up out of the wet zone, so water drains away from the crown instead of pooling around it. One warning, because it is the most common drainage mistake there is, and it makes things worse. Do not add sand to heavy clay. In the amounts a home gardener actually uses, sand and clay do not make loam. They make something close to concrete, and the drainage gets worse, not better. If you have clay, the answer is to raise the bed and add coarse grit and bark-based organic matter, not a bag of sand. Cold does not kill lavender. Cold water sitting on its roots kills lavender. Number 3. Stop feeding it and start easing off the water. You are hardening this plant off for winter, not growing it. There is a shift that has to happen in late summer. All season, you may have been keeping the plant going. Now the goal changes completely. You want this plant to slow down, stop pushing new growth, and toughen up its existing tissue so it can face the cold. Gardeners call that hardening off, and 2 things you do in August either help it or wreck it. The feeding first, and this is the easy one, because the answer is do nothing. Lavender does not want fertilizer at the best of times. It evolved on poor, lean, rocky ground, and feeding it produces soft, lush, sappy growth at the expense of tough stems and flowers. But in late summer, it is worse than that, because soft new growth is exactly what winter kills. So a late feed does the same damage as a late hard cut. from a different direction. Put the fertilizer away. If your soil is genuinely poor, the time for a little compost is spring, when the plant is greening up, never now. The water second, and this is where people's instincts work against them. An established lavender going into autumn wants less water, not more, because the whole danger ahead of it is wet roots. In most climates, the cooling weather and the rain handle it, and you can ease right off. Check with your finger 2 inches down, and only water if it is genuinely bone dry. You want this plant going into winter on the dry side, not saturated. One honest exception. A lavender in a pot is a different case. Container plants can dry out completely even in cool weather, so they do need the occasional check and a little water through a dry autumn, right up until a hard freeze. But in the ground, dry is what you are aiming for. In August, you are not feeding lavender or watering it. You are toughening it up for the fight ahead. Quick one, because everything I have told you so far works on one kind of lavender, and everything I am about to tell you depends on a question I cannot answer for you: which lavender you actually own. And that single fact decides whether your plant can survive a winter at all. That is the pattern with this plant. People treat lavender as one thing, do everything right, and still lose it, because the plant in front of them was a completely different type from the one the advice was written for. Which lavender wants the hard cut? Which can take your winter? When to prune it, how far, and whether to prune it at all. Every one of those has a different answer depending on the type, and almost nobody is ever told which is which. So I put the whole thing in one place. It is a new book, and it is called The Complete Lavender Guide. It sorts out the 4 types in plain language, because every decision you make starts there. The frost date arithmetic, so you know exactly when to cut and when to stop, for where you actually garden. The 1 pruning rule that keeps the plant alive, and the drainage fixes that get it through winter. 31 pages, $27, instant PDF, and the link is in the description at waltgreer.com. And it ends the way everything on this channel ends, with the part nobody selling you a dream will print. Lavender is not immortal. Even perfectly grown, the English and Lavandine types give you 15 to 20 years, and the tender ones less. No amount of care rescues a plant that has gone woody and hollow to the base, and 2 of the 4 types will not survive a hard winter in open ground, whatever you do. Because a guide that only tells you what to do is only half a guide. And if the library is more your thing, all 3 books, Peroxide, Hydrangeas, and Lavender, are bundled together for $57 instead of $81 separately. That is a real $24 off, written out honestly, not marked up against some invented value. Now, that 5th thing, and it is the type question head-on, because for 2 of you, it changes everything. Number 4, mulch it, but do it at the right time, with the right material, kept off the crown. Because the wrong mulch is one of the most common ways well-meaning people kill lavender in winter. Mulch, done right, does one important job through winter, and it is not the one people think. Its job is not to keep the plant warm. Its job is to keep the soil temperature stable. Because one of the real winter killers is the freeze-thaw cycle, where the ground repeatedly freezes and thaws, warms and refreezes, and that heaving motion physically shoves the plant up out of the soil and tears its roots. A steady insulating layer stops the soil swinging back and forth like that. So mulch is about stability, not warmth. But lavender is fussy about how you do it, and here is where people go wrong in 3 specific ways. The timing first. Do not mulch early, while the soil is still warm. Wait until after the first hard frost, once the ground has cooled or started to freeze. Mulching a warm, moist soil just traps that warmth and moisture around the crown, which is the opposite of what you want. You are insulating cold ground to keep it cold and stable, not tucking warm ground in. The material second, and this is the big one. Use grit. Pea gravel, limestone chippings, or coarse horticultural grit. 2 to 3 inches of it. Grit drains instantly, dries fast, and never holds moisture against the plant. And now the honest part, because the growers genuinely differ here. Some are comfortable with straw or pine needles around lavender. But the more cautious sources, Oregon State and others, say organic mulches like bark, wood chips, and leaves are the single most common well-intentioned winter mistake because they hold moisture against the stems and create exactly the cold, damp, airless conditions that rot the crown. Where they all agree is this: do not put organic mulch on the crown. If you use something organic at all, keep it to the surrounding soil and use grit right around the plant. The placement. Third, and this one is non-negotiable, whatever material you choose. Keep the mulch 2 to 3 inches clear of the crown, the base where the stems emerge. Piled against the stems, any mulch traps moisture right where the rot starts, and it invites voles to nest in there and chew the plant over winter. You are insulating the roots, not burying the plant. The wrong mulch does not protect lavender. It tucks it into a cold, wet bed and rots it. Number 5. Find out which lavender you own, because 2 of the 4 types will not survive a hard winter in the ground, no matter what you do. This is the one nobody wants to tell you, and it is the most important thing in the video for a chunk of you watching. Everything in the first 4 steps assumes your lavender is a type that can survive your winter. And half of the lavender sold does not care how well you do those 4 things, because it was never going to make it through a real freeze in open ground. So here is the split, plainly. The hardy ones are English lavender, Lavandula angustifolia, the Munsteads and Hidcoats, which is the most cold-tolerant of the lot and will come through a genuine winter down to well below freezing with the protection in this video. And the Lavandines, the big hybrids like Grosso and Provence, which are also solidly hardy in most temperate gardens. If you have one of these, the first 4 steps are exactly your job, and they work. The tender ones are French lavender and Spanish lavender. Spanish is the one with the little upright petals sticking out of the top like rabbit ears. French has the soft, toothed leaves. Both are beautiful, and both are frost tender, and in a cold winter zone, they will die outside, no matter how perfect your drainage and mulch are. That is not a failure of care. It is the plant. So, if you own a French or Spanish lavender, and you garden somewhere with hard frosts, here is the one thing that actually works, and it is the honest answer. Grow it in a pot, and bring that pot inside for the winter. Not into a warm living room, into a cool, bright, unheated space, a garage, a porch, a cool windowsill, somewhere that stays above freezing but still lets the plant rest. Water it sparingly, just enough that it does not dry out completely, and put it back outside in spring. That is how you keep a tender lavender for years in a cold climate. Trying to overwinter it in the open ground is just buying the same plant again every spring. Know which one you have before winter, not after. The 4 steps save a hardy lavender. Only a pot and a doorway save a tender one. All the drainage in the world will not make a Spanish lavender hardy. Some plants you protect, some you bring inside. Before we finish, send this to one person you know who lost a lavender last winter and blamed the cold. Just the link. There is a very good chance it was not the cold at all, and the 5 things in this video would have saved it. Now here is the whole thing, in one idea. Lavender does not die in winter of cold. It dies of wet. And you do not fix that in winter, you fix it in August, because by the time the frost arrives, every decision that matters has already been made. So, 5 things now. Make your last cut light and early, into the green, never the brown, and finished 6 weeks before your first frost, so no soft new growth is caught out by the cold. Fix the drainage, because wet roots in cold soil are the actual killer, and raising the bed and adding grit does more than any cold hardiness rating ever will. Stop feeding it and ease off the water so it hardens off and goes into winter dry and tough instead of soft and full. Mulch it after the first hard frost, with grit, kept well off the crown, to hold the soil steady through the freeze-thaw that heaves plants out of the ground. And find out which lavender you own, because the first 4 steps only work on a hardy one. English and Lavendine will come through the winter with this protection. French and Spanish will not, in open ground, no matter what you do, and the honest answer for those is a pot and a cool doorway, not another funeral next spring. Do those 5, and a hardy lavender in the right place lives not 1 winter, but 15. Because the plant that dies every year and the plant that lives for a decade are not different plants and not different luck. They are the difference between a gardener who prepared in August and one who hoped in December. Keep it dry, keep it open, keep it hard. Everything else is just watching. So subscribe and hit the bell and stick around. We do this the honest way here in the Forgotten Knowledge Library. Real horticulture, exact timing, and we tell you straight, including when the honest answer is that some plants belong in a pot. It is free, and it always will be. And drop a comment telling me which lavender you are trying to overwinter, and whether it is in the ground or a pot, and I will help where I can. Next time, another plant that dies in a season nobody was watching. I will see you in the next one.